make a divergent personality out of either a character or your brand voice in general.
Mm-hmm.
If it's boring, make it fun. If it's not serious, maybe make it over serious, like Dos Equis did,
Mm-hmm.
but find some sort of disruption in what people expect. Welcome to the Maven Marketing Podcast. Today is Maven Monday. I'm your host, Brandon Welch, and we are back with my co-host, Caleb, Mr. Ty Agee.
Ty guy.
Yes.
Yes.
All Caleb's clothes got together to have a coolest clothes contest. It was a tie. Okay. Last week, we went over part 1 of how to write more effective ads in 2024. And naturally, we are at part 2.
Mm-hmm.
Quick recap. If you didn't listen to that episode, you probably want to go back and listen to it because part 3 is important, but it won't really work without part 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
So, quick recap. We talked about the 3 principles for writing better ads this coming year. Secret, it's the same things you would do in 1924 and the same things you should do in 30, 24.
Yeah.
Because human beings do not change.
Do you plan on being alive that long?
I like my chances.
Yeah.
I work out.
Yeah.
Um,
You look good.
So we talked about learning what you're really selling. It's not what you think. It's not your features and benefits. It is the outcome you provide. And we gave you a framework for how to find that and how to think about that a little deeper. We talked about a strategic messaging process, so crafting the right message. And it's not just creative. It's not just be more creative. There's actually a process to get in the mind of your customer and talk to them like a human being and match your outcome with their deep-seated needs, pains, hopes, and fears. And now we're going to talk about how to make them want to buy specifically from you. Not just because you wrote a good ad, not just because you wrote a compelling story about what your product can do, but in a lot of markets, you aren't the only one selling this product, and you're not the only one who's committed to good marketing, to be honest with you. Like, you may be the underdog.
Yeah.
And so how do you make people want to buy specifically from you? We're going to use a lot of the principles from the Maven method tomorrow customers.
Yeah. Yeah. Before we go into that, I think it's important to talk about, I don't know if we've ever talked about this, the 3 things that marketing can do. Marketing can only do 3 things.
Yep.
So 1, you can earn a bigger piece of the pie, which means
Steal market share,
competitor. Earn it more. You can make somebody a customer who wasn't already going to
bring
be a
somebody
customer.
to the category.
Bring them into the category. You can convince them to buy an electric car, even though they've never bought an electric car. Now they're buying one.
Yep.
Okay. Tesla's doing that every day.
Yes.
And then the third is you can get somebody to come back and do repeat business with you.
Yes.
Or maybe help with referrals and things like that.
Or bring their friends and family. So, yep. Steal a piece of the pie, bring somebody to the category, or earn repeat business from past customer. And in the Maven method, we call that today customers, tomorrow customers, and yesterday customers.
Yeah.
This is going to focus more on earning that bigger piece of the pie from people who are already buying.
Yeah.
So why do they come to Tesla instead of maybe Rivian or maybe Ford or maybe any other number of automakers that are getting into the EV game, right? But hopefully, if you're listening to this podcast, you are in control of a business that is not a mega corporation.
Sure.
And you are differentiating your brick and mortar or local or regional company. And the 3 principles of a tomorrow customer, it's not as much about price, convenience, and hassle as much as it is commitment, relationships, and quality. So we're building this association with us that we are understood by the public that we serve to be the most committed, therefore the most trustworthy, the most likable, therefore the one that is just feels good, and the one that is the highest quality, and therefore the one that is the safest and best investment long term. This is, if there's one thing that Frank and Maven is like famous and like really, really good at, it's this. We make our clients famous for who they are, not just selling the products. A lot of marketers can write a good script. They can write a good direct response script that says, hey, if you're looking for this, you need this, and here's why. And that's important.
Yeah.
But what if you're also doing it in a way that makes you, I'm talking about the Steve Rices, I'm talking about the Mike Manskers, I'm talking about the Nick Gordons, I'm talking about the people that are like just become category leaders in their markets. How do you do that?
Yeah. You've got to make sure that you create this dynamic character. And I think that's
Yep.
where we're working to build this character. And it speaks to, if you go back also, if you want supplemental materials,
Mm.
refer back to tribal bond. These both go hand in hand
Yes.
together. I don't remember what episode that
Yep.
was, but just
Is how
scroll
to
through.
build a tribe of extremely loyal customers, maybe 4 or 5 episodes back.
Yeah.
Yep. So we're breaking that down a little deeper today in this episode. Definitely hand in hand with the tribal marketing episode, though. So we're going to do 3 things. We're going to build a brand personality. We're going to make a strong, consistent pursuit of quality. We're going to hold a strong, consistent style. And I actually said we're going to do 3 things. We're going to do 4 because the icing on top is a media thing, but it is crucial to this equation. We're going to show up every day. So build a personality, make a strong, consistent pursuit of quality, hold a strong, consistent style, and show up every day. And if you look at any of our campaigns that we use Randy and Dee as an example a lot because they're good sports and they don't mind showing you behind their curtain,
Yeah.
but we have lots and lots of others we've done this for. But last week we talked to Randy and Dee. That's what they've done. Like they were good old average Joe people, and instead of letting the ad people, I guess us, just make some slick fake version of them, we accentuated the parts of their personality that were interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We added a little bit extra flair to it.
Yeah.
And then we put them both on screen, and we gave them these lines that just make people repeat the things they say. And
Yeah.
they're on the phone. They're saying, "Can I get that D guarantee?" Or, where's that? He told a story, I think, even on the podcast. People walk in their showroom and they're looking for him.
Yeah.
They're asking for their autograph at the, home shows and sometimes at the grocery store. And they just
So cool.
you think about TV. Just use that as an example. Lots of people are on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of talking, flapping jaws are on TV. Lots of slicked up sales guys are on TV. We don't think of those people. We don't track them down. We don't remember them.
Mm-hmm.
But when you give them specific lines and a specific personality, it's like they know you.
Yeah.
It's like you're their uncle.
Yes.
It's like you're their buddy from high school.
Yeah.
It's like you're that caricature that that's already made them feel good and laugh and just bond with you in a different way.
Yeah. And I think you need to think about this like you're writing like little mini episodes of a TV show.
That's exactly what you're
and
doing.
you want to make sure that you've set up this character, you've set up or characters to be in a certain way so that people expect them to act that way, and then when they don't, they're surprised. And there's all of this stuff, but you've got 30 seconds to establish a character and sell a product, and relate that at some level to a product. But it's a great nuance, and it's really powerful when it's done well.
So I've been watching some of the 90s shows that I grew up with my kids lately because frankly they're better than what's on TV now. And so one of them is Seinfeld, one of them actually the Red Green Show. I brought that up again last night. And what you see when you start episode 1, you see these characters and how they develop, and you see that like who they start to be becomes stronger and stronger and stronger because they realize what the audience likes and what gets repeated.
Yeah,
that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
So you're not just the guy that was on TV standing in front of your truck saying, if you need, heating and plumbing, I'm your guy. You're becoming guy. You have your own catchphrases, and think of Kramer. Think of all the weird shticks and things Kramer had, or George Costanza,
always
or
burst into the room and
or rest in peace. Think of Chandler.
Well, even I know the story of if you watch Joey on Friends in the first episode, he's kind of the suave, cool guy.
Yeah.
And they realized they needed to kind of make him the dumb, cool guy.
Yes.
And even like Andy Griffith early on, him and Barney were supposed to both be funny guys.
Yes.
And there's a quote where he said, "I realized I needed to go straight," I think is how he said it. And he needed to be more straight-laced sheriff instead of them both being the funny guys. You need that dynamic.
So we're talking about this, and we haven't revealed what it actually is yet. It's called divergence.
Yes.
We actually learned this from a Hollywood screenwriter. His name's David Freeman, and he teaches a framework for how he literally and everybody in Hollywood thinks about characters. So the most famous wild characters you've ever thought of, Disney characters, Buzz Lightyear, Donald Duck, Goofy, like all you start to think about these shows and you start to think about these storylines that you're very very familiar with, and what they all have in common is they have divergent characters. They have
Mhm.
characters that are overpronounced in some areas, and other characters are the opposite of them. And it's that magnetic force of back and forth of this person does this and this person screws it up a little bit and this person brings this unpredictable flavor.
Yeah.
And there's a phenomenon inside the human mind that when it can't see what's coming next, when we think we know what's going to happen, but it constantly gets disrupted,
Mhm.
that is the key to holding attention.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, that's the key to every best-selling book. That's the key to every great podcast. That's why we have Nate the camera guy. That's why we have the kite and the kite and the string. I'm the kite. Caleb's the string. That's why. That's why. And I'm not saying we're the greatest that ever lived, but
No.
we're trying to follow that framework.
Yeah.
That's why in movies you have the villain and the hero,
Mhm.
and then the goofball, and then the nerd, and then the think about 007. You've got the hero and the behind the scenes gadget guy that
Yeah.
repeats itself in Batman, that repeats itself in all sorts of storylines. And you realize that in life, we tend to fall in love with the same story over and over again, but the commonality is that it's divergent. Now, that was a whole lot of, literary mumbo jumbo to tell
Mhm.
you, what does that have to do with advertising? You need to be that guy or
Mhm.
that gal or that company. And building this personality, the first thing you need to look for is divergence. So let's go practical. What does that look like? You're looking to disrupt the stereotypical assumption about you.
Mm.
If you are a attorney and you are cold and stiff, and you go on TV being cold and stiff in your suit, and you say, "Call me," that was expected. That's not interesting. And by the second time, probably even by the first time somebody's seen that ad, and you're standing in front of your library of law books
Mhm.
or in your wood-clad office with, leather chairs.
Smells of rich mahogany.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, I'm going, okay, it's an attorney. Do I need an attorney? Nope. Cool. What's for dinner? Right?
Yeah. Yep.
It could be anything. What's on my phone right now? I think I'll go play checkers until the, commercial break is
It's
over.
over. Yeah.
But if you're an attorney and you have either spokespeople or or the courage to have actors or some sort of something else that is completely divergent,
Mhm.
such as humor, like law ain't funny, right?
Mhm.
It's stiff and cold and it's serious business. If you have a little fun, now you become the attorney that is interesting, right?
Mhm.
And you have Trojan horsed your way inside the attention span of your public.
Yeah.
And it's not that you can just only do the funny shtick and not have the other stuff we talked about in points 1 and 2, but when you do both of those together, you are the entertaining version of your category.
Yeah.
Humor is one way you can do it. But let's say you're the blue collar guy. What do we expect from blue collar guys?
Maybe a little rough around the edges.
They're not typically the most suave
Yeah.
folks.
They're gonna be maybe not looking like the lawyer in the fancy office. It's
We
gonna
expect
be
every service guy to be standing in front of his truck saying, "Hi, I am
yeah.
Dave, and I have Dave's Electric. And if you need electric, remember Dave's Electric."
Yeah.
That's not divergent. But what if you're the blue collar guy that is surprisingly sophisticated in some way,
Hmm.
or surprisingly charming,
Well spoken, maybe.
well spoken in
What if
some
you
way?
used interesting vocabulary
Yes.
just to make it people go, huh? Did he just say
Do-
that $5 word?
Dos Equis did this. They took beer, the most unsophisticated beverage known to man, and they made it sophisticated,
Yeah.
right? The most
Yeah.
interesting man in the world,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so it was divergent. We didn't see, like, beer commercials had been the same essentially for decades.
Mm-hmm.
And then here comes this gentleman in a really extremely unknown, beverage, and he became the most interesting man in the world. Everybody paid attention. And they're like, it's not like they go, that will make me want to buy this beer because I think it tastes better. And I'm not making any comment about the product. What I'm saying is that stuff worked, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about insurance. The most boring. It's even more boring than
Nobody wants to have
legal.
it, but you have to have it.
Yeah. So let's, instead of making insurance, insurance,
Mm-hmm.
let's turn it into a cartoon. I don't know, maybe with a gecko,
Yeah, maybe.
with an Australian accent.
Yeah.
I can't prove this, but that campaign came around somewhere around the time that Steve Irwin was like blowing it up
Mm.
and was like probably the most popular guy on TV.
Mm.
I think somebody knew that consciously or subconsciously. They said, let's make Australians are interesting, especially to us Americans. Like they could be reading the Bible and they'd be interesting,
Yeah,
right?
just doesn't even
Not
matter.
that the Bible isn't interesting. I'm
Yeah.
just saying they make everything more fun, right?
Yeah.
And so, don't do that. Make some dorky character named Flo and make her do weird dorky stuff, right?
Yeah.
And the point is, it's divergent from what you're doing. Disrupt predictability at all costs, and do that consistently, and then put it inside this box that is your 3 or 4 characteristics that you become known for. Kramer, the unorganized, leisure suit wearing, goofball.
Mm-hmm.
George Costanza, because I'm a Seinfeld guy, the hothead. Elaine, the dork that always gets into trouble. That's all. They're all self-absorbed. They kind of all fit this character line, and they're all not really good people, but they do things that are divergent from what you'd expect.
Yes.
In what they otherwise look like, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if your category is one of profession, break the mold. Be the one that's a little less professional, or be the one that's a little more charming, a little more witty, or a little more willing to say what somebody didn't expect you to say. If you're on the opposite end, if your category is a little dirty, polish it up in a way, right? We have a category that is very, very high end, luxury outdoor furniture and outdoor experiences. I mean, you got to have some zeros on your paycheck probably to be a regular customer of this place, right? And so there's a competitor in town, and they do what you'd expect. They do the, over-polished, sleek, maybe lifestyle type ads, and they're fine. Like, they're what you'd expect, right?
Yeah.
They're probably getting their footage from the manufacturer, and they've
pretty sweeping shots of the
on the California landscape of the $12,000 recliner chair, right? Outdoor recliner chair, mind you. And what we did with these guys instead is we said, you know what? Everybody gets it. They're going to go and see their price tag, but most people want to be reasoned with. Even the guys and gals with lots of zeros on their paychecks. And so we made this really whimsical, kind of down-to-earth character out of one of the owners. But he's saying sophisticated things, but he's doing it in almost a goofball manner.
Yes. And
so his divergence is that what you see just by the way we have him read his scripts, he's a goofball, but then he ends up throwing these really sophisticated things in, and he's eccentric, right?
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yes.
And then happens to be his wife, but we present them as, the Bevan RD campaign.
Yeah.
She's always the reasonable one. She's the one speaking, out of his whimsy, and she's always bringing him back down, kite and string, in a way, right?
Yep.
And these characters just became magnetic over time, and now they almost write themselves. These ads do.
Yeah.
And side note, I wrote them. I thought of 2 people I know very well in my life, and I wrote them to be sort of characters of those 2 people. And things that make me laugh, I just put it in a note on my Apple Notes, and when I go to write scripts for them, it comes out.
Yep.
And they end up saying these funny things, and people repeat their ads. And years ago, when we first started this campaign, these guys were really, really consistent advertisers, and nothing wrong with the way they were running their business. They're long-term thinkers. They're beautiful store, beautiful products, coolest place on the planet to go to. But their ads were more talking about the product and its features, right? And they were voiced by, honestly, any number of random voiceover artists. They didn't have a consistent style.
Yeah.
And from this company's been in business a long time, and we were just this little punk ad agency that came around and thought we could do better. And so, literally the first time we put these 2 characters on radio, direct traffic, I could go back and find it in Google Analytics, went up like 30% in a couple weeks, and it kept climbing, and it is still climbing from that day.
So cool.
And I'm not trying to say we're big and bad, but I'm saying that the power of divergence, that was a measure of how much more attention we were holding. And we weren't even telling people to go to the website. We weren't even saying, like, You got to go here for this specific thing. It
Yeah.
just made them instantly more interesting. And we built some phenomenal things off that.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Other quick examples. Mac versus PC. That's Divergent.
Those are good.
The Apple ads, right? Everybody loves.
Yeah.
The lemon. Remember the Volkswagen ad, where every car ad in America is putting the pretty car on their ads, and they say this is all its beautiful features, and they put the lemon on there. Divergent, right?
Yeah.
You expect people to bring their first forward, and they flip that on its head, and they said, "Here's the ugliest one we've ever made, and it's not good enough for you."
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, iconic ad, right?
So good.
In our world, Nick and Jamie, we have a client that does a lot in the solar business. We made 2 Divergent characters. One's the really excited dad, actually, like the male figure that's usually the excited person, overexcited about what solar is going to do for you. And guys, you got to check it out. Isn't that cool? You're never going to believe it. And then we have a skeptic, his counterpart, Jamie. And she's the one always saying, yeah, but what about this? What about this? And it's almost echoing in a real household what Dada says that the husband and wife are, she's the practical one. He's maybe over enthusiastic about this product.
Yeah.
And it lands and it holds attention, right? So last one, we took a roofer and we turned him into a cartoon.
Why not?
The most boring thing you've ever thought of, other than insurance, maybe. We turned our roofer into a cartoon. We make him dance around and do these little march things. We wrote a jingle for him. Side note, jingle episode's coming up soon. How to write a good jingle.
Okay.
We make him dance around, and that's like, it's interesting. So make a Divergent personality out of either a character or your brand voice in general. If it's boring, make it fun. If it's not serious, maybe make it over serious, like Dos Equis did, but find some sort of disruption in what people expect.
Yeah. That's good.
Do we beat that one to death?
I think we got it. That's
we got it.
Divergent character. 2 things that go together that don't seem like they should go together.
Yep, but
the opposite ends of the magnet. They're pushing apart, but you kind of want them to come together, right? And
throw some Hollywood on it.
Yep. That's good.
Second thing, make a strong, consistent pursuit of quality. The stronger your brand stands for something, and I literally don't care what it is, and you could be standing for it, ought to be the cheapest thing because it ain't that complicated, or dadgummit, this thing is so serious, you better get the right one the first time, right? I don't care if you're carrying low and high and somewhere in between. It's some hell-bent thing you're doing for the customer's well-being. 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning did a great job of this decades ago. Always on time or you don't pay a dime.
That's good.
I forget who said it. I'm going to regret not remembering this, but somebody said a value isn't a value unless it costs you something. And so like this company's like, if we're late, it's on us.
Yeah.
You don't pay us a dime.
Yeah.
And so they follow through. That's actually cultural for them. That's in their operating procedures, and they train their people that way. So all the better if you can back it up with like something that is really either generous or tension worthy that just costs you something, and you can demonstrate, yeah, no, we're serious about this,
Yeah. I think the difference though there is you can very easily this kind of goes back to our last episode, the what are you really selling? You can easily say quality service or we do it right the first time, that kind of language.
Along with all of your competitors.
But that, can somebody else say that? So not only do you want to have this pursuit of quality, you want to say it in a way that it's really only something you can say. And this is why, because we're trying to make them specifically buy from you. That is the goal right now. And so we do things like the D guarantee. There's no D in another window replacement company in Kentucky.
And if somebody tried to rip that off, they'd be called a phony for the rest of creation, for the rest of the world's existence. So, and the D guarantee is we'll be in and out of your house in 30 minutes. And if you got anybody past that time, you call me and I'll come dragging by their ear out of your house. That's how D talks about it on camera. She's like, no way. You ain't got time for that. I'm not going to settle for it. I don't like those big, pushy, scary salesmen in my house, so they're not going to be in yours.
Yeah.
That's the D guarantee. It's a commitment to quality. Absolutely. We have a roofer that guarantees your house and your yard will be cleaner than when we started.
That's good.
It's on their website. We've put it in ads. Um, we have some doctors who are just hell bent that you have an incredible life as it relates to your vision. So they will never settle for less than the best. That's why they invest hundreds of thousands of dollars into equipment they don't have to buy.
Mm-hmm.
They could give you a script and push you out the door just like any other eye doctor. But dadgummit, when you
Nope.
come here, it's going to be the best.
Yep.
We're going to diagnose things that you didn't see coming.
Yep.
You're going to get,
The best lenses, the best frames, the best everything.
best doctors. They hire the best of the best out of school.
Yep.
They spend more time than the average,
Mm-hmm.
just all call that.
You
system
can
that gets
usually
pushed through.
find these pursuits of qualities inside of the values and what we would call the pissed off moment, right?
Yes.
There's that moment in the beginning when you said, usually if you're the entrepreneur, you were working probably for somebody else in the business,
Yep.
and you said, "Ugh, I could do this differently. We could make a difference. We can do the same thing, but we can do it better." Whatever that thing is, that's probably your quality point. When
Yep.
you say, I was a roofer and I saw how this was being done and it was close, but it wasn't totally right. So from now on, we're going to make sure that there's not a nail on the ground when we leave,
Yep.
And so you want to find those things, and those are the things that you're going to say out loud over and over and over again.
Entrepreneurs are entrepreneurs kind of against their will. They're by calling,
Mm-hmm.
not by choice.
Yes.
That happened to me. I didn't like the heartache it takes to build a business is not like on paper is something you probably shouldn't sign up for unless you have that nagging, damn it, it's got to be different than it is
Mhm.
now.
Yeah.
And for me, that was like small businesses that couldn't confidently grow.
Yeah.
Because they were trying this and that, right? But your pissed off moment
Mhm.
should drive those values, and it's probably deep seated in the heart of the founder somewhere.
Mhm.
Find that, and media folks, your job is to find that, because if you can find that
Yes.
and articulate it, you will never that the client will never leave you,
Yes.
because that is what the world actually wants. That in and of itself is probably divergent,
Yes.
because the world is average, right? The
Mhm.
bar of average is easy to see. It's kind of what you expect. But when somebody's just a little more aggravated
Mhm.
by your like the way things ought to be,
Yes.
if it's Dee and Randy, it's absolutely against high pressure. If it's my buddy Keith, hi Keith in Tulsa, it's why would you pay more for the exact same thing?
Mhm.
It's he has tuned his operation so tightly that he doesn't have to have excess overhead, so he can deliver a product that he sells at a much better price than you'll
Yeah.
find it from a competitor. Some people it's speed, some people it's made in America is a really good one.
Mhm.
I'm thinking of Jerry Cook.
Yeah.
He's like, I will close my doors before I
Outsourced.
outsource any of my jobs overseas.
Yeah.
And he would do that. He would give it all up. For you, it could be we give 10 cents of every dollar to XYZ charity.
Yeah.
Or we will always, one thing for us, if we have a client that requires, I can think of a lot of business we've turned away that would require like an excess stress on our team and their quality of life with their family, and it gets past that tolerance level, we just will say, we can't do good work for you because we do great work between these hours,
Mhm.
and we are not unavailable completely, but as a rule, we protect
Yeah.
the sanctity of the families that work for us.
Mhm.
So, guys, this shows up in your hiring. This shows up in how you deliver your product. This shows in how clean your trucks are. This shows up in, how many locations you commit to, so people don't have to drive. That's a really great one. Lori,
Mhm.
our friend Lori, could easily probably do the volume she does with 1 or 2 locations, and she has 9 because she doesn't want her elderly population to have to drive too far.
Yeah. That's cool.
And so you're talking about this, you're making some sort of strong commitment. I believe you should never have to blank, or
Mhm.
I believe it ought to be this way for you. And when that shows up in your ads and you say it in not a cliche way like, customer satisfaction guarantee or we will give you the best price as guaranteed. We will price match. That's weak.
Mm-hmm.
Wrong.
Yeah.
Do better, right?
Yeah.
Give me something I can care about, okay?
Yep. Say it in a way that only you can say it.
I don't know any other way to say it than what we just said. So
That's good.
love it. Okay. Speaking of only in a way you can say it, you need to have a style. Walk into any popular retail store that is a chain say in the mall, if anybody goes to malls anymore, but they will have their own scent. They will have their own lighting color. They will have their own table style. They will have either dark, shadowy type lighting, or it will be bright and big glass windows.
Mm-hmm.
They will have, cozy little dressing rooms, or they'll have big wide open dressing rooms that, 40-foot tall ceilings. That's an example of style.
Mm-hmm.
Think of restaurants. The best restaurants in the world have a signature.
Yeah.
Certain plateware, a certain treatment, a certain way their people dress.
Yep.
Okay. So that's a practical, tangible world. And I gave you that as an example because the exact same thing is true in a world that you're creating in the imagination with your ads.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your musical style? Are you happy or sad? Are you fast or slow? Are you soft or tenacious in the way you talk? There's no right or wrong answer. Is your music style percussive or atmospheric? Are you rock and roll or country? Are you jazz or gospel or funk or rap or whatever, So it shows up in what I would just say the audio signature of who you are. That's inflections, tones, and choose those things very intentionally. And I would encourage you to disrupt whatever you think is expected in the category. So many people are trying to pick that cheesy background music track. We just did this for a jeweler client of ours. Every jeweler in America has a light jazz poppy little background tune, and we said that sucks.
Yeah.
We picked a folk artist and we brought in a guitar player that was capable of plucking strings in this really authentic way. And we brought in the best celloist in all of the region and had him saw these, very woody notes out of this probably $500,000 instrument that he came in to a studio that we paid buku bucks to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just so we could get this custom moving track that the mood we were trying to create was authenticity, because this campaign is very authentic in the way he talks about love and connections and bonds. And what he stands for is the moment ought to be special, and it can't be something you can get in some overlit, cheap cologne shopping mall environment. You got to go to the guy that believes in the sanctity of the moment, and he's helping you craft that moment. And everything about his campaign says that.
Yeah.
So we selected certain music. So it shows up in colors, sounds, light, shapes, inflection, speed, percussiveness. The word I'm looking for is meter and pace of how you deliver.
Yeah.
We do that intentionally on the Maven Marketing Podcast. Although I have rambled a time or two, I've been known. We know that the average business owner is busy. So we don't start this in some philosophical slow, well, no, we're going to talk about the sanctity of the music in your advertising today. We go, no, it's the Maven Marketing Podcast. Today is Maven Monday.
Yeah.
And we
drive it forward
with speed, right?
Yeah.
There's a time and a place for everything, but you're setting an intentional style that people become to know, come to know you with, come to know you by. And do not abandon that style. Okay? A couple other things you can throw in there. One-liners. I think over time these will happen by accident to you. But to start with, you need to have some things you commit to. Marketers who can't teach you why
are just a fancy lie.
We say it every episode, right? We introduce the episode in a certain way. We talk. There's a couple of today, tomorrow, yesterday customers, a vernacular that we use. Any one of our clients has 3, 4, 5 different one-liners. They're not slogans. They're ways they talk about a certain thing they deliver.
Yeah.
We've said it a lot of times, but the D guarantee, or we have a client that says, When the air's on, your money's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Or when the heat is on, your money's gone. Or keep the outside outside and the inside inside, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't use those. Those are trademarked to Frank and Maven, FYI. But you'll come up with your own thing.
Yeah.
And you have this series of phrases, just like your grandpa says something a certain way. By the way, grandparents are a really cool way, or really, they have a vernacular from,
Yes.
a previous
It's divergent
generation, and it's divergent.
from any other ad writer probably would
Yep.
naturally find.
Or go find some, Gen Z punk, Nate the Camera Guy, and find out what the kids are saying these days. And say, man, that that slaps, man. That's a new one I learned. I don't know what that is, but hopefully it wasn't inappropriate. But man, that slaps. This podcast slaps, Caleb. And what I'm saying is find these interesting, because you're gonna make people laugh. You find these like just unpredictable ways to say things.
Yeah.
Punctuation. Are you, like, visually? Are you a lazy punctuation because you want to demonstrate that you're laid back,
Mm-hmm.
or are you, tight proper English because you want to, put a proper flair to your otherwise improper category?
Mm-hmm.
Breaking those things. Vernacular. Are you Southern? Are you Northern? Are you somewhere in between?
Mm-hmm.
Are you religious? Are you rock and roll? Not that those two things can't go together, but are you all business? So you're picking the style, and you're like, I would write it down. You're gonna hopefully employ an artist and somebody
Mhm.
with some intuition. Say like Nate the Camera Guy to help you put this together, or the Frank and Maven team, or whoever else. But you're doing it intentionally. So hold a strong, consistent style, and don't break that. Probably
Yeah.
ever.
Yep.
Except for once in a while. Don't break it ever, except for once in a while. And you're taking one of those elements, like your one-liner, and you're breaking it a little bit.
A little
People, 6, 8, 9 months in, people expect you to say it a certain way every time and say it just a little different.
Mm-hmm. Just for fun.
Throwing one extra word or something, or change a word.
Yeah.
That's just to surprise people. Okay, so we talked about creating a divergent character and a divergent personality. We've talked about making a strong, consistent pursuit of quality, or a commitment to something for your people. We've talked about holding a consistent style. This last one just ties it all together. And in your media, we talk about this every time we talk about tomorrow customers. But you need to be here today, here tomorrow, here for you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if it's raining. I don't care if it's snowing. I don't care if you're a holiday-based business or a summer-based business and it's the middle of winter. You need to be in people's lives all the time,
Mm-hmm.
because frankly, that's the time that you're probably most available to their subconscious, which is the place in the mind where they come to know you like an old friend.
Mm-hmm. And chances are, if you're thinking about pausing advertising, somebody else is too.
Your competitors are, and that's like you're taking all the headwinds out of your influence on
Yes.
people.
Getting a
And if
head
you-
start.
Yeah, if you've done all these other things right, and you're interesting as it is, like
Mhm.
we have home improvement businesses that don't do anything in the middle of the winter, but their ads are so entertaining. People still
Yeah.
comment, respond, send letters in, and they're like, we're making them laugh.
Yeah.
And by the time spring rolls around, and then the polished up competitor in your market decides to start running ads because now it's spring and now some people are buying, you've already won them over.
Yep.
Long gone.
You got it.
You beat them to the punch. So that looks like in TV and radio, you're on every day.
Mm-hmm.
Pick a program you can commit to every day of the year, at least Monday through Friday, where people are showing back up. On radio, on a station, you typically need 40 spots from the hours of 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. to pull that off.
Mm-hmm.
Anything less than that, and you're just not aggressive enough to be perceived as a regular voice, and people will forget you. It takes longer to work. TV, it's picking a program, filling it up, buying a news program or something like a syndicated program that's on every day that has a consistent audience, showing
Mhm.
up there every day, even in the middle of the winter, even in the
Yep.
middle of the summer,
Yeah.
even at Christmas.
Refer to our episode with Megan
Yeah.
from 2 or 3 weeks ago.
How to get the best deal on TV and radio advertising.
Yes.
We talk all about that. And I can't stress enough, do it in the same style,
Yes.
and you guys are going to win. And
Oh,
that is
yeah.
how This next year and 10 years from now and 50 years from now, no matter what's going on in the world and no matter what's going on in media and what channel you end up delivering it on, those are the principles. Be divergent, be interesting, commit to quality, promise a better way of life for your customers, hold a strong style and do it every day. Show up to them like your life depends on it. And guys, you're going to be fast forward a year or two of doing that, and you're going to go, wow, my business grew faster than it ever has.
Yeah.
Fast forward 4 or 5 years from now, and you're going to go, I'm unstoppable. There's a client I'm thinking of we did this for who went from very much an underdog, like maybe 10, 15 people in his pretty small market were bigger than him, and now he's eating all over the lunch. He's by far number one.
Wow.
And that took 4 or 5 years to do.
Yeah.
Along the way, he was making buckets of money too.
Yeah.
So that is what we have for you guys. Be sure to go back and listen to episode or the part 1 if you haven't. Anything I didn't cover?
I don't think so. I think the biggest thing, these two episodes, we've got, know what you're really selling, craft the strategic message, and then make them want to buy from you. All of those 3 things work together in a layer, and you have to come back even to the beginning of knowing what you're really selling. When you've finished your ads, go back through this checklist and make sure it's not really a checklist, but consider all of these pieces.
Yes.
Did I sell the thing beyond the thing?
Yes.
Did I really speak to a person? Did I actually talk to Janet that we used as an example? Did I really do
Love
that?
you, Janet.
And then did I say things that only I could say? Did I speak to the quality of my company in a way that is divergent and interesting and create a character that's dynamic? So when you work all of those things together, you need to take a step back. I don't care, rest your ad. If you're looking at a script, however it works, step away for an hour, a day, a week. I don't really care. Come back and put fresh eyes on it and say, I'm Janet now, and I'm hearing this for the first time.
Yes.
Do I care?
Yes.
And does this follow through?
Yes.
And when you can do that and you can step into the customer's shoes, everything changes.
Yes.
So good.
One last pro tip. I currently have 2,041 open notes on my Apple device here from the last couple of years. Every time I hear something heard or said an interesting way, I don't care if I'm in the middle of church. I don't care if it's one of my crazy buddies said something funny, or it was my grandpa, or something I heard on TV. I grab that and I throw it in a random document. I'm like, that's an interesting way to say that. And if it made somebody laugh, that's how you know you're onto something. Keep those lines and try to work them into your stuff.
Yeah. They come out of you naturally.
They do.
From time to time. Usually when you're in ad writing mode, everything is very unnatural.
Yes.
So it's the naturalness that you got to grab hold of.
Yes. Yes. Thank you so much for listening. We will be back here every Monday answering your real life marketing and advertising questions, because marketers who can't teach you why, Nate the camera guy. Have a great week.